I don't know if you guys noticed, but it's important to know because it's not just black folks that are thinking, you know what, system's rigged. 98% of people live paycheck to paycheck, relevant on what they make. So if it's 98% of people that live paycheck to paycheck,
Zay, stop.
hey, they're not coming ahead. They're I think they're two paychecks from going broke or something like that. A lot of people don't have that emergency funds or anything. It's a really difficult time, and for someone that's lived outside the U.S., I can tell you this: if you're going to retire, I would really consider retiring somewhere else where the cost of living is less. You just have to do your research on it. Like I know exactly where I would retire based on the crime, cost of living, you know, the tolerance also. A lot of these countries are a lot more tolerant than the United States. I'm going to tell
Morat,
you the truth.
are you familiar with like Lebanon at all?
You know, I am to some degree, but I wouldn't go there if I were you. I think the Palestinians are a little bit more tolerant than Lebanese people, and
I I
the
I was
reason
gonna say
why is because
I had
there's like black
black
Palestine. So
Palestinians. Yeah.
there's three type of Palestinians. You're either white, you're black, or you're mulatto, which is a
It's
mix.
it's kind of the same with Hispanics, but remove the mulatto. Like when I was in like so I was in Lebanon, right? And I had a couple of the homies from Tripoli, and we all played on a team. So I went with the Syrian national team. No, I went with the Iraqi national team to Syria. This how I like kind of got familiar with them. Those were some of the cool. The Iraqis was the coolest fucking people ever, bro.
You
Like
could be Iraqi. That's what's crazy. I'm telling you. There's black Iraqis. There's like it's there's a the Lebanese are more
racist. And
European. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
They see themselves because you know what it is? They originally were like Greeks. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Like if you look at the Palestinians, we had every single empire. You had
yeah,
the Arabs, you had the Turks, you had the Persians. I
Khrushchev.
mean, you can go down the
Yeah,
list.
yeah, yeah.
Every empire was there. So keep in mind, just because you speak the language, your DNA, like I think there's a city and that's a Palestinian city called Jericho. Everybody there is black,
Mm-hmm.
right? Uh, and I didn't know this. As a matter of fact, I ran into two Palestinian guys. One of them, his family arrived from Chad in Africa 300
Mm-hmm.
years ago, but he's Palestinian. And I was talking to him, and then the other guy was mulatto, half black, half native, whatever that is. You could just tell. And he says they're
No, it's
both
not.
rappers. These two guys are rappers, both from a Palestinian. And I was talking to him. I say, hey, tell me about the Palestinian experience, because keep in mind I'm American.
You caught
So
that,
so
AP?
so they're telling me about the Palestinian experience, and I started thinking. I say, hey, listen, guys, don't tell anybody you guys are rappers. That's why I told them that. I didn't tell them don't tell anybody that, but there's like an automatic assumption anybody that's of color is a rapper. These guys were Palestinian rappers. And I said, it's cool if you tell me, it doesn't matter, but don't go to these these guys and it's cool. Like to me, it's cool. But I was at the end of the day, I didn't see them as black. I see them as my brothers. You understand what I'm saying? So I wasn't looking at them like, oh, they're black. And I was just like, they're Palestinian. I'm Palestinian at the end of the day.
Do you
So
drink it all?
no, 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 no. We're more like, the Canaanites. I have like, if you ever look at a picture of that, former Egyptian president, I kind of look like him a little bit, right? My grandfather's got that Egyptian blood. Like Egyptian's kind of interesting. It's a mixture. So, Egyptians have that they look like Ethiopians, right? Because there was a lot of intermixing,
That's
a
where
lot
I
of
was going.
intermixing. But
That's what
we still got that Palestinian DNA. We're like 70% or 80%, and then or 70, 75, and then the other 25% might be Egyptian, but we're 75% native. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like
no.
talking
So
to
when I was in Lebanon, I realized that one, racism is not as bad outside of the United States as it is in the United States. I don't know if anybody's
oh yeah.
tribal. It's completely different. The,
Well, you know what they've done? You know what they've done to these Middle Eastern people when they got here? You got to keep in mind, I think it was in the 1800s, they started identifying them as white. Do you
yeah,
remember that on
yeah.
the
They
census?
Yeah, when they
Now,
start grabbing Irish, Italian, now Hispanic is under that same moniker.
yeah, do you
But
know why they do that, right?
yeah,
So here's what happened in the 1800s. When these Lebanese and Syrian and I don't know, some Palestinians, but mostly Lebanese, Syrians, when they got here, like I said, some of them look like they're Greek or South European, right? And they were discriminated against. So they said instead of being discriminated against, let's identify as white since we are from, close to Europe or whatever. That's one of the many reasons. There's a lot more reasons to it. And then they have that South European look. Um, the other thing is, what was the other thing? So there's no benefit in identifying as white. We don't get any benefits from it. Why would I say I'm white when I have melanin in my skin and I don't get no benefits in this country? What do I need? Tom to say, "Hey, let me pat you on the back. We favor you over somebody of darker skin." I
it
don't get
won't
any
work like that.
benefits to it. Do you know what I mean?
No,
So
I do.
identifying as white, there's no benefit whatsoever. And even if you were to apply to a college as a person that's supposedly white, come on.
My jewels for the black community would be stop drinking milk from cows. We have something called Khalifa Farms coconut and almond blended
Are we
milk.
allowed to do that?
Only 45 calories. Well, it's not about the company, but it's about the fact of staying away from dairy. We have to take care of our bodies. We have to be mindful of our health. A lot of the stuff that we put into our bodies also affects our moods and our behaviors. And so it's some things I'm trying to stay away from. I still haven't been able to put down the ramen noodles. I know that the sodium is not good, but they are just so doggone good. But this blended coconut and almond milk, I promise you, you will not miss cow milk. Try it. It's the bomb.
For me, it's happy spouse, happy house. And then someone should have the final say. Because 50-50, yeah, it worked for our grandparents because someone had the final say. And that's my personal opinion, of course. But you can't both have a vote in opposite directions and have it work. Someone needs the final say, the final gavel. If it's not going to be you two, it needs to be a third party that's non-biased. So it can't be someone's mama. It has to be like the pastor, that's old and wise, or the person down the street, or your neighbor or something. So happy spouse, happy house, live below your means, and listen to the men in your family. They care the most about you and want the best for you.
I think I appreciate everything she just said, and I want to say I didn't understand the full context of what this show was about. I just enjoyed coming on and getting the chance to share a perspective. But I will say you guys have proven the point that not all women are the same.
They're not. I think that it's important if people don't like to take other people's opinion, just understand it's just a different try. It's not yours. Just it doesn't mean it's bad. Let's stop putting labels on stuff. Just say, I just did not know.
No, Shan, my point was that they're good women and they're bad women. There weren't any bad women on the panel tonight. And I wasn't making the point that they were interrupting women or any of that till you jumped in.
But when did we talk about bad women?
Just jumped in like that. So no, what I was saying was they're good women, and as Shan spoke earlier, she fall in line with the women that would people would accuse of not having a backbone, right? And we all know as men, those are the women we typically want because we don't want to fight with someone. We don't want to have someone in our house where it's cantankerous, where it's contention on who's the leadership and who's not. If you have a woman that allows you to lead, it should not be a scenario where she then has to feel bad that she did that. That's what we need to avoid, so we can foster relationships where leadership can clearly be expressed, because it's impossible for two people to lead in opposite directions, as she said earlier, because at some point it's going to end in a separation. It's not fair, but it is what it is. You can't go left and right at the same time. Someone has to decide to go right, and someone has to choose to go right with them. Morad came in and he cooked and he talked about international trade. I'm a big advocate for that, but I think before we get to that point, we have to internally solve some issues within our households. We solve those issues within our households, then we can heal self-esteem wise. Once we heal with the self-esteem, then we can learn to internalize and keep the wealth that we generate. When we do that, then we can advocate or have expendable income for new opportunities, and they don't cause us too much friction. At that point, we can move forward. But it all starts at home first. It starts with self-esteem and understanding what needs to be done, not want to be done, but what needs to be done. And if we move from a sense of need and not want, we can get what we want. But if we move from a want sense and not a need sense, we won't get what we need, and we'll barely have what we want.
I would say if you guys can start traveling, you don't even have to travel long distances. Um, Believe it or not, there's a uh, probably larger African diaspora in like South America and Central America, like Brazil, Colombia.
Brazil has the highest population of Africans that are in the diaspora.
You ought to consider it. And the reason why is because you can really get a different perspective and then gain some knowledge even from their community because they're operating differently there than they are in the United States. So maybe some of the solutions may exist there. And I'm only saying that because I'm someone that travels to other parts of the world and I see the pros and the cons. And there's always something you can take away from it,
Right.
whether it's positive or negative. And thank you for allowing me to join you guys tonight.